If you have strong convictions, you start with principles, you will not run into trouble when you're at a Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting and people start talking about reparations. This is serious stuff. When I was talking about these things years ago and saying we should not be having these conversations, people poo-pooed me and said, oh, why are you talking about this? Just talk about the economy. These things are linked. The economic side and the social or cultural side, whatever you want to call it, go hand in hand. And these other countries look at us as a country that owes them. And if you start down that road, it is not going to end well.
Yes, you heard her right, loud and clear. This is the Conservative Party leader in Britain. And according to her, Britain should not start a conversation when it comes to reparation for our people. It should be a non-starter. Because according to her, when you have a strong conviction, I don't know what kind of conviction that she got. All your conviction is about demeaning your own people. All your conviction is about trying to deny your people what they really deserve. Yes, you can argue when it reparation about Africa, because for me, as a Pan-Africanist, as an African, I don't think the continent of Africa really deserves any reparation from Britain or whatever. Because the reality is that some of our leaders, our kings, they also participated or they compromised in slavery. They also participated in slavery. So if we as African people need reparation, we must also dig in to see the people whose family were involved in slave trade. Because today, as we speak, we still have people in Africa who are leading us, whose family were part of the slave trade. They should pay reparation or compensation to the continent of Africa. Britain shouldn't do that. But the victims of slavery, those our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, our brothers and sisters in America, our black British, our black Europeans, our black Americans, they deserve reparation. They deserve reparation because they suffered the brutality of slavery. They are the victims. So my sister, for you to open your mouth and say Britain should not start any conversation, it's unfortunate coming out from the mouth of an African person. Can a Jewish person say this? Can a Jewish person open their mouth and say Germany should not pay reparation to the Jewish people? You dare not. Why? Because there is a consequence. And the reason why in our community anybody can wake up and say things like this is because there is no consequence, there is no punishment. When people talk like this, we will still come out. You're still going to see black people in Britain will come out and vote for her. But if there were consequences, that when you say things like this about our people, then there will be punishment. She wouldn't say that. She wouldn't say that because, as I said, no Jewish can say this about the German reparation to the Jewish community. You dare not. As we speak, Germans still paying reparation to the Jewish people, but Germans refuse to pay the same thing to our people in Namibia. The first Holocaust that German caused was in Africa, Namibia. Why is it that Germans decide not to pay reparation to the normal people in Namibia? And yet they are able to pay reparation to the Jewish people. Yes, the Jewish people deserve the atrocities that the Germans caused them. The Jewish people deserve it. So whatever penny that the Germans are forced to pay to them, the Jewish people deserve it. But what about our people in Namibia? What about our people in Jamaica? What about our people in the Caribbean, in Guyana, in Barbados, in Haiti? What about those people? So our sister think that our people in the Caribbean, they don't deserve anything. And in one of her videos, she said it is a scam. Reparation is a scam, that people are playing victim. Can you just imagine? A black woman is talking like this. Let's listen to her come back.
This is the past. We need to talk about the future. There are many countries now who want to use guilt to try and exploit the UK. They ask for reparations. I saw it as a trade minister. It's not culture wars. I was at the WTO. I won't name the minister from another country. And he was telling me that we needed to give up some of the things that we were doing because of colonialism and because they needed time to develop. These arguments are a scam. Don't fall for it. We need to make sure that we put this country first. We work well with our neighbours. We work well with other countries, but we have to look after ourselves too.
Well, I mean, those advocating for reparations would say, shouldn't we just make up for some of the damage we did through the slavery? As a black woman saying that, they may find that hard to understand from you.
Well, there are many things that the British Empire got wrong, but there are many amazing things that the British Empire also did. And we need to be honest about that and stop pretending that it was all bad. The British Empire ended slavery, the Atlantic slave trade. We need to talk about that more.
Yes, according to her, the conversation about reparation is a scam. And you know what? The British people love that. They will clap for you. They love it because this is not coming from them. It is coming from somebody whose ancestors went through the horrific treatment from the British Empire. And today she thinks that the success of Britain got nothing to do with what happened to our people. Why? Because according to her, Britain ended slavery. According to her. So the horrifying treatment that our ancestors went through in the Caribbean, in America, they don't deserve any reparation because after all, Britain ended slavery. So who ended the Holocaust in the 19th century? Who ended the Holocaust? And how come German is paying reparation to the Jewish people? And as I said, the kind of things that she's saying about our people, even a white person will not say that. Because listen to Jeremy Corbyn. Let's listen to Jeremy Corbyn, the former Labour Party leader. Let's listen to him come back and analyze it.
Look at it this way. Britain was made rich from Jamaica and other places. Britain did incredibly well out of the slave trade. And at the end of slavery in the 1830s, Wilberforce put the bill through Parliament, which ended slavery. In reality, it was the uprising in Morant Bay and other places that brought the end to slavery. But slavery did end, and the slave owners were paid compensation of £20 million at the time, which was 40% of British government income at that time. Mm-hmm. And that debt was finally paid off to those people in 2015. Not one slave got one halfpenny at any time. Mm-hmm. The victims got nothing. Mm-hmm. The owners got everything. Now, there's been a demand for reparations for quite a long time, but I think it's become a much more valid and real subject at the moment. The UWI and ASIL did an analysis of what the costs of reparations would be, and the figure they came up with was that the UK would owe £18 trillion to 14 countries. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there would be negotiation, debate around those figures. And then when it came up at the Commonwealth Heads of Government Conference in Samoa, our Foreign Secretary and our Prime Minister both said there was no appetite to have this discussion. 54 other heads of government mm-hmm. had said they wanted to have the discussion. Yes. But Britain somehow or other managed to veto even a debate. Well, it's not going to go away, because you look at the issues of inequality on trade, you look at the issues of indebtedness, and you look at the pain that so many families went through, ones who lost people during slavery, but those since then. I think the issue has come full circle. Now, in Britain, the debate has actually become quite live. Yes. Some universities, Glasgow University, for example, mm-hmm. have paid. Mm-hmm. The Church of England has recognised mm-hmm. that it made lots of money out of compensation and it should pay. Other institutions have done the same. And the British Museum goes through convulsions the whole time about repatriation of artefacts. Yes. They have sent a lot of stuff back, of the Benin bronzes and others, yes. but other stuff they haven't sent back. So it's a real live debate. Why hide away from it? Let's have the debate.
Yes, so that is Jeremy Corbyn. Many institutions in Britain are now accepting the fact that they benefited a lot from slave trade. The Church of England, they make profit out of slavery. They were compensated. They make a lot of money. And a white man, and that's why sometimes I said it's better to deal with some white people, not all. It's better to deal with some white people than to deal with a house Negro. To be honest, it's better to deal with a white person than to deal with a house Negro. Because Jeremy Corbyn is telling us that let's have the conversation, because this is a conversation that will never end. A black woman who spent her life in Nigeria until she was 16 years is saying that, because she's now a conservative leader, she's saying that do not even start that conversation because Britain ended slavery. And for that matter, anybody who comes to talk to you about compensating our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, in America, our black British, black Caribbeans, black Americans, is a scam, according to her. In 2015, that Britain stopped compensating or paying compensation to slave owners. Can you imagine? For their losses. But what our ancestors went through, according to our sister, it should be a non-starter. We shouldn't even talk about it because we deserve nothing. Look, after all, she has gotten what she wants. She is now the Conservative Party leader. So she got what she wants. The rest of us can go to hell. What kind of race are we? Before you become the Conservative Party leader, it was an Indian person in the name of Rishi Sunak.
Rishi Sunak, the former British Prime Minister, is originally from India. A very brilliant young man. He never denigrated his nation of ancestry, nor poured venoms on India. Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the British Labour or Conservative Party. We are proud of her, in spite of her efforts at denigrating her nation of origin. She is entitled to her own opinions. She has even every right to remove the Kemi from her name. But that does not underscore the fact that the greatest black nation on earth is the nation called Nigeria.
Sunak never opened his mouth and say anything negative about India. And as I said, because he knows there will be a consequence if he say that. But for us, there is nothing. There's no consequence. Anybody can wake up and betray us. And that is the betrayal. The time has come for us as African people to wake up. For me, I don't think Africa deserves any reparation. Because as we speak today, our leaders are still selling the continent of Africa to the Europeans and to the Chinese for free. So you cannot blame the Chinese or the Europeans for what they are doing to us as African people. It is our leaders who are allowing that to happen. But those people who suffered, who were the victims of slavery, they deserve reparation. They deserve it. As we speak, the New York City Council is still trying to come out to figure out what to do to compensate people, Jewish people who lost their properties, their assets in during the Second World War. They're still trying to do that. What about us? What about our people who were taken into the Caribbean, into a land that they didn't know anything about, and they were forced to work from sunrise to sunset? And today, our sisters think they don't deserve nothing. Their descendants don't deserve nothing. After all, Britain is a great country, and then she's now the opposition leader in Britain. Why is it that anytime a black person got the opportunity, this is how we speak? It is very unfortunate, and it's about time we take the name Kemi from her. I don't think this sister deserves to have an African name. So you can change your name to either Elizabeth or whatever name, or Victoria, or anything that is un-African, because you are not more an African woman. I thank you very much for coming around. Please, if you appreciate what we are doing, One Africa Mission, the #1 Africa Mission, we are missionaries. We are on a mission. Sometimes when I say we are missionaries, a lot of people will call me and ask me, is it a Christian organization or something like that? No, it is an a United Africa organization. One Africa Mission, the #1 Africa Mission. We are on a mission, and our mission is all about our unity as a people, as a continent, and our dignity as a race. Just as I'm saying, those our brothers and sisters in America, in the Caribbean, all of us, all over the world, we are all catching the same hell. Why? Because of the continent of Africa. We are not being respected. If we want our dignity and respect, the continent of Africa must be respected. How can we regain back our dignity and respect as a people? It's by uniting the continent of Africa. That is why we come out with the #1 Africa Mission. So please, if you are coming across us for the first time, if you appreciate what we are doing, then don't hesitate to like, share, and then pass your comments. I keep emphasizing on that. Your comments are really helping us. We are learning a lot from your comments. So please don't just watch without liking it. It wouldn't take you nothing to like it. Like it, share it. Let us all bring our energies together so that future generation of Africans will live a life of dignity and wouldn't be speaking like our sister Kemi. I thank you very much.
Black people and African Americans as black people have another option, and that other option is to go to a black continent right? And start a new life there. And if we don't do that, and we don't have that in our heads as an option, we will continue the same cycle of trying to beg people for stuff like reparations. Do I think black people in America deserve reparations? Yes. Do I think they will get it? No. Why do I